Players get traded every offseason, but who do we feel is most likely to be traded from this Avalanche roster is what we're going to talk about on today's episode of Locked on Avalanche.
You're Locked on Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Locked on Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciate it. If you want to get in on the conversation, then join our subtext. The link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. All right, sir, we will get to Sam Malinski's grade a little bit later on, and we got a lot of questions on Martin Necas. Just this whole rumor thing that went out that we talked about not that long ago is really holding firm. So we're having a lot of people asking about it. So we're going to be talking about Necas in the second segment, and just what does he need to do, assuming he stays with the Avalanche, which I totally think he's going to really satisfy the fan base, because he's the one that was the big fish that came back for Mikko Rantanen. What will appease Avalanche fans? So we'll do that a little bit later. But where we're going to kind of start here today, sir, is again, we got a lot of questions about, is Sam Girard going to get moved? Necas, is he going to get moved? Like, what moves need to be made? Because there's not a lot of cap space left after that Brock Nelson deal. And trades happen. That's just, what happens in the offseason. It's where you make the changes you think you need to make for the next season. And some that is in signings, that is in prospects stepping up, and that is in trades. So do the Avs need to make a move or two here to free up some more money? Yeah, it looks like they might have to. So we figured we would each come up with our list of who is we feel is most likely to be traded from this current Avalanche team. So we're going to play GM right now, I guess.
Oh, that shouldn't be hard.
No?
We could do this in our sleep.
I think we're going to get fired by the end of this episode.
Fine. If anybody has to get fired, I'll be fired.
All right. So let's dive into this. We'll start at number 5, and we'll go up to number 1. Number 1 is who we think most likely will be traded. So I'll throw it to you. Give me who's number 5 on your list. As it for me, I'll just say this. I'm not going to tell you what I got right now. I'll let you go first. But number 5 is for this. Like, I don't think this person's getting traded. I don't know if it is for you, but go ahead.
Yeah, and again, just to paint a little bit of a deeper picture, the Avs have $1.2 million, and that is with the cap going up.
Right.
Keep that in mind. Like, I know a lot of people say the cap's going up. Well, we're here.
It is. Right.
So we are now 1.2 with that. So at number 5, it was flirted around a couple years ago. A couple years now. Ross Colton.
Okay.
I feel like there is value in the name, and with a lot of other contracts on this list, I think number 5 would be Ross Colton. If you want to alleviate some financial woes, you might get some value there.
I think a lot of, almost all the names, with the exception of the one I'm about to mention, is because of dollars. You know what I mean? That's why I don't feel like the Avalanche would really want to part ways with any of the guys. Maybe save for one, which I'll get to him in a minute. But it's not like the Avalanche are in cap hell.
No.
But they do need to move a contract, depending on that number, maybe 2 contracts. And
they're one LOC injury away from cap hell.
Well, and you got an LOC injury.
Yeah, you're one more of those freak injuries away from being in some serious trouble.
So, like I said before I threw it to you, my number 5 is, and I'm just going to start with him, and I'm starting with Martin Necas, because I don't feel like I don't think I put him at number 5 because he's in talks around the around the fan sphere ever since the Kipper thing came out, people think that it's happening. I don't think this is happening, people. I don't think the Avalanche would just flip somebody like that with the number he is at, that is a great number for the production that he gives you. I don't feel like the Avalanche are going to flip that. I don't think you can find someone that's going to produce and give you what he can give you at the number he is giving you, which is 6.5. And he was a point per game player last year. So I don't think he's going anywhere. I think that's way too early for the Avalanche to give up on that trade, to give up on him. And this whole thing about him being unhappy, teams don't just turn around and trade a guy because they're unhappy. They'll try to make him happy before anything else. Because if guys were unhappy, guys would be moving like ships in the night if they just went to a front office and said, "I'm unhappy. Okay, let's trade you." It doesn't happen like that. And he was only here for a short amount of time. I think everything's going to be fine. I'm not buying into this whole he's unhappy thing. I'm just not. So I have him at number 5 in that he's not going anywhere for this year.
No, I don't feel like he's going anywhere. I don't care if he's happy or not, because McFarland, if you trade him away, you traded Mikko for nothing.
You can then say
it failed.
The Avalanche lost that trade.
Yeah.
You can absolutely say
they will hold on to him as long as they have to, just to admit that it did not fail and it did not go the wrong way. So I don't see him going anywhere.
Some of that pride there, yeah, definitely. Who you got for number 4?
Okay, now number 4, I have Josh Manson.
So do I.
Interesting.
So we agree there. Yep.
It pains me if you ask me last year. He would have been higher, but you've lost some of that value. Like, this is going to be a rental move. He doesn't have long after 25, 26. This is it after that year. Like, he's got 1 year left on that contract. So you're going to be eating some of that. So the value, you're not getting as much. So I have him at 4.
And he is 33 years old, which is just, you don't think about his age that much. And, that is up there. And for a guy that plays like a heavy game, who does get injured, you add another year to that frame, and he might be another hit away from him missing significant amount of time again. We'll have to wait and see on that. But, like I said, most of the guys that I put on here are for number reasons. I feel like the Avalanche want to keep him around because they do like him, and he brings the physical nature to their defense. They're adding to that a little bit. I feel the way the Avalanche are going to do this on the defensive end, I think you're going to get a healthy dose of Keaton Middleton this year. Mm-hmm. Not in minute and on time on ice, just games played. I think he's capable of giving you that, 10, 12, 13 minutes a night on a third pairing line and being that muscle. But I think that they don't want to go back to, because it was just Josh Manson as your muscle for a while. And I think they want more than that. So they'll just up that to 2 guys. So I think it's going to be Middleton. And if they keep Manson around there, that's who your big brute guys are on your defensive end. But he carries a $4.5 million cap hit, so they could move that out. But if they move that out, they got to do something with that. Either keep Lindgren around, and then and then that's your duo as your big guns. So he would just be replacing Manson if they move him out for picks, just to gain some that cap space, and then he maybe can go sign Lindgren for that.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do that before the season because Lindgren is a UFA.
He is, yeah.
So you're gonna have to make that calculated move.
Well, you don't have to. I mean, it's not like Lindgren is gonna go out and sign. I mean, unless he's one of those guys that sign on day one. But you could be having those conversations with him that you want to bring him back, and if you are, you sign him, and then you can go move Manson afterwards. So yeah.
And at my 3, this is where I have Necas, and not because of like his play or anything. If things go south, the leash, we've talked about the CMAC and Bednar and the whole Avalanche as we know it. I feel like the leash is kind of short if you get off to another rocky start to this season. And if this Necas thing and the weird rumors that are going around, if it gains weight and starts sandbagging, I feel like you're going to cut ties and make a trade to gain something to keep the trajectory going north for this team and just say goodbye to Necas. I feel like 3 is where you're doing it. And again, he is also going to be a 1-year rental. So you're going to try and accumulate as much value out of that contract as you can. But I doubt that move happens before the season starts.
Yeah. And I think that's they're going to give it a shot here. They're not going to trade him in this off season. If it does happen, it's going to be a trade deadline thing, and it's it's not working out, but
it'll be the first domino before the trade deadline. One of those big swings for the fences to get the dominoes going, to get the most value that you can out of this.
At 3, I have Colton.
Okay.
And again, I go back to I don't think they want to do this, but it is a pretty significant cap hit for one of your third line guys. Not terrible. And if they don't feel like there's a move out there that benefits them, they're not going to do it. That's with every single trade. No matter what trade you're making, if you made smart trades in the past, you don't need to just offload a contract just to free up space. And I don't think the Avalanche are in that position. But is there a position that they need to fill where they need a little bit more money? I think they're in good shape, but it would be beneficial to them to have a little bit more cap space to play around with. And is that why you maybe offload a contract like Ross Colton's?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really feel like they want to do it, but I think like he's a name that is maybe creeping up for me a little bit, as much as I wouldn't like to see it happen. So
you want me to go to my 2?
Let's get our break in, and then we'll do our top 2, and then we'll circle back around to Martin Necas and talk about what he needs to do next season to make everybody happy and forget about Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
Let's do that next. Let's hear from Wonderful Pistachios. If you are looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious, then crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. It's one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com right now to learn more. All right, sir. So we got 2 more to go. And why don't you give me who you're second on the list of players most likely to be traded this offseason?
And Chris, we've been doing this together long enough that I think we have the same names, and I'm just curious where they slot in 1 and 2.
So this would be funny because I literally changed my 1 and 2 like right before we hit record. So did the change line up with yours or not? So what do you got at number 2?
Miles Wood.
Yes, I have Miles Wood at number 2. Oh, that's funny.
Just because our number 1 we'll get into, but if you need the quick cash, he has a little bit of value. You're not bringing a lot back. It's likely it's one of the beefier parts of the Avs roster that you can make a move and it doesn't derail everything, but it's not a hefty contract and it's not saving that much space, but it's something easy you can do.
Yeah, I think the only sticking point for some teams might be the term left on it, which is 4 years, which is, at least it's not the 6 that they signed him to.
True.
But it is a low number, so it's not going to soak up a lot of, cap space. And, he can give you something on the ice. Just doesn't seem to be working for the Avs. As much as I like watching him play and go all out, he's good for a boneheaded play or 2, or 3. But you get the impression, like my top 2 guys, you really could say, like, I feel like these top, maybe number 1 we'll talk about here in a second, but you get the impression that Miles Wood is maybe one of the easier contracts to unload because of that. The cap hits lower for him and he can give you a lot. he can give you a lot of minutes on the ice. He can do a lot out there. So I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, I do too. He'll go back to the Devils.
He could, yeah. Why not? And who you got at number 1?
Samuel Girard.
I do too, and it pains me a little bit to put him there because I 100% Kyle, how many times every dayers know? I've said this over and over and over again for years now. If and when the Avalanche ever get rid of Sam Girard, it is not because they don't like him. It's not because they don't feel like he's producing. It is because of dollars. And that's exactly where they're at right now. And there is a little bit to me where I feel it's like we've done as much as we can with Sammy. And it's not going to get any better. It's not going to get worse, I don't feel, but I don't think it's going to get any better. And I think the Avalanche are in a place where we need to get more from certain guys, and it's him. And I just don't think he's got another gear to his game. I like where his game is at, but it needs to get stepped up a little bit. And we've seen so much from him over so many years now. I think we've seen what we're going to get from Sam Girard. So for that reason, and for those reasons, I feel like I'm Mark Cuban on Shark Tank right now. Yeah, I think they move him.
Yeah, in secret, like I love Sam Girard.
Yeah,
but you know what I love more than Sam Girard? Winning. It's just you're not doing that right now. You're getting bounced out of the first round. Something has to change, and every time you look at that Puckpedia, that contract just hits you in the face, and you're like, you could do so much. You get 2 for 1 with that kind of contract. Like you can make some serious moves, have some security. You can, and like yes, he's some fan favorite. Everybody else is much like what you were saying. They feel like you've seen all the Sam Girard that you're going to get, and it's not going to really change things. And it doesn't help that you have Taze and you have Makar out there playing incredible defense. It just makes his game look a little worse, but I think it's time.
And we'll get to Sam Malinski in a minute here, but I think he can step in and do what Sam Girard is doing.
Yep.
Maybe even a little bit better with his scoring touch.
Yep.
So I think he is ready to take that next step. So, and you move Sam Girard, you offload the contract. That could get you into first, second round here in the playoffs, in the draft.
Yeah,
of which you have none for the next 2 years.
So building the future again.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't like this year's draft class, then get it for next year.
Yep.
Because you're going to be in the same position next year. So you could get some draft capital back for him, and then use his cap space to do a number of things. To refill that spot that he left. So for Miles Wood, I feel like it just feels like a certainty. For Sam Girard, personally, it just feels like a gut feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like I haven't really heard anything that they are really entertaining this. You hear some things like the whole Nichushkin stuff, but that's off-season banter. But you just the gut feeling is they've run this thing back with him so many times, and now seems like a opportune time to change direction here with him.
Yeah.
So unfortunate because we all love him, but that's what it is. It's just it's the money thing.
It's this generation's Tyson Barrie move.
Yeah, it's not a bad comparison. Yeah, it's like something you have to do.
Yeah,
yep.
You had to bring in Nas,
and look how that worked out.
Yeah.
In the end, it was great. So, all right. Let's discuss this. Let's circle back to Martin Necas and what does he need to do next year? What type of season does he need to have next year for Avalanche fans to really take to this guy? Because I feel like the shines wore off a little bit. So we'll do that next. All right, so maybe it is because the honeymoon period was so good with Necas, and then the playoffs came around, and it was a struggle, like it was for several Avalanche players in that first round. but he is forever going to be tied in Avalanche world to Mikko Rantanen. And, he's had a solid career up until now. But for Avalanche fans, it is going to be, what did you do when you came here because of who we gave up to get you? And he's got this season to prove that. It's not like he's on a contract where he's still got 3 years left on his deal. And if he has a good season, let's give him another shot. And, you give him those Samuel Girard chances, right? He has this year to prove himself, not only to the fan base, but to the front office, because he's playing for a contract. And maybe that is the reason why he has a fantastic season. Everybody that's in a not everybody, but you know what I mean? That's in a contract year just has these ungodly seasons. Maybe that is, the right time for Necas to be in a contract year when he gets traded, new team, first season with that new team, go out and go crazy.
Yeah, I think honestly, when you're talking about, and I don't want to dive too deep on what he did last year, because look, if you're watching on YouTube, we're talking about Necas N. We're about to be talking about Malinski M. His grade's coming up, so we'll dive into that. But when it comes to next year, what I want him to do, find that magic when you first got here. Like, it felt like Necas and MacKinnon were separated at birth. Like, it was that MacKinnon Drouin effect that everybody was harping about. Like, this is magic right here. You had that with, like, the speed, like the way they're operating on the ice. It was just, there was a couple episodes right after the trade where, like, oh, I don't even think about that 96. And because of what he was bringing to the team, like, and it just kind of tailed off from there. And the last thing you see is the ghost mode that everybody warned us about when he came over to the Avalanche. So I kind of want to find it, get your role. To quote one of my favorite Oingo Boingo songs, "Who do you want to be today?" Like,
that is on a soundtrack.
Yeah, it is. Yep. Mini. It's honestly, he's got to find himself again. Like, if you want to make money, you want to be a member of the Avalanche, which that's up in the air thanks to whatever. Like, prove it. Get out there and go grind and go get that cup, because your next stop, if it's more of last year, you're not going to have your choice of where you're going, and you might not get the choice of what your money's going to look like either.
It almost feels like, he's likely going to be on that top line, because I think your second line is Landeskog, Nelson, Nichushkin. So I think that's the right line for him to be on with Nathan MacKinnon and Arturi Lehkonen.
Yep.
And man, if you can't put up great numbers on that line, how many times do we say that? That's like the Terrell Davis backfield. Not Terrell. I shouldn't say Terrell Davis, because Terrell Davis is one of my favorite Broncos ever. It started with Terrell Davis, and everything after it was that offensive line. It's just like, you can put anybody back there and they'll get well over 1,000 yards. You put anybody on a line with, look at Jonathan Drouin, what he was doing when he was on that top line with Nathan MacKinnon. So with Necas, like, he is going to benefit. And you give him that Jonathan Drouin job of being on the top line, and put his skill, which is better than Jonathan Drouin's. Like, he could have a career highs, easily could have career highs. He had career highs for this season in total between the two teams. And I'm just going back. So in 23-24, 77 games for Carolina, 53 points. That wasn't the lowest he's ever had. His lowest is obviously early in his career, but that was a dip from the year before in 22-23, when he played all 82 games and had 71 points. So he played 5 less games, but almost 20 less points. He upped it again, this year. I feel like he's primed for a really good season, and he should minimally be a point. He should hit 90 points minimally. Can he get to the 100-point mark? He's playing in Mikko Rantanen's spot. Yeah. And Mikko Rantanen, like, although I'm not trying to like compare those two guys, but they both have offensive ability, like incredible offensive abilities. So we'll see how much the MacKinnon factor wears off on Martin Necas. It remains to be seen, but I think it's gonna I think it's going to have a big impact for him. And then everything goes to the offseason, Kyle. So we're talking about what does he need to do to win over the Avalanche fans. I'm pretty confident he's going to have a really good regular season. It is what do you do in the playoffs? You cannot be a ghost in the playoffs. So if he combines, it's very simple. That is how you win over a fan base. You put up numbers, you perform in the postseason. This is not rocket science here. And for him, I think Avalanche fans want to love Martin Necas because of the Mikko Rantanen trade. They want to take him under their wing and be like, you are one of ours now. And that, who cares about the winning the trade thing? That is what it is. But they will be much happier if he can produce, not only the regular season, in the playoffs. That's where it matters.
Yeah, it's another one of those that you're looking forward to the camp, the preseason, being with the team and starting the team as a member of the team instead of joining and kind of making it up as you go. But the front office and the fans are going to be watching you because can this top line float and sail with speed, or is this going to be an anchor? Are you holding back this line? That's where we go back to what we were talking about being traded. If you're going to be an anchor and you're not getting any better and then these rumors get louder, then we're going to have to trade you and gather whatever value you can out of this contract. So, and that's not going to look good when you are trying to command a beefy contract next year. Like you got to start stepping up.
And the opposite of that is, you went down the road of like, if it's not working, they would have to offload him. But the opposite of like how I'm feeling like he could have like career high numbers in a contract year, that could come back to hurt the Avalanche as well, depending on what his demands are for a new contract. Because he's like, hey, I'm playing great with you. You brought me in on this team in this system, suits my game, my play style better. And look what I'm doing. You got to pony up some money. And the Avalanche might be back in the same situation that they were with Mikko Rantanen. Maybe a little bit less so because he's not going to command 12 and a half, but he could be wanting close to that 10 range. But the Avalanche then have a decision to make. If he is giving us that production and it's a short sample size, having just that 1 year and a half, a few months, do they then hand him a massive contract?
Ask Nas how that went.
Because he left. You have a guy that's here that the play suits you, fans love you. You go somewhere else, and it's not like Kadri's had poor seasons with.
No, but I'm just saying when it comes to going like short sample size, coming up to the table saying, "Hey, like where your demands are, you're going to find it other places," and then that's when you circle back to how unhappy are you really. Then the Avalanche know this because they've been burned with the Nas thing. They've been burned with Mikko. They have this in the back of their mind when it comes to contract talks. So you got to outperform it.
It's going to be interesting to watch this year. So I'm excited to watch him because I think he's an exciting player. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Last thing we're going to do, that is the Sam Malinski grade. I don't have a graphic for this. I failed as a human being.
Probably the worst day of my entire life, Chris.
So if you're watching on YouTube, I'm sorry, you're going to have to stare at our mugs.
No, I dream a genie. Sorry.
No, not today. But everybody on social media gave Sam Malinski a B. What was your grade for him, sir?
A B-.
Because I have said it so many times. I just like Sam Malinski's game. I gave him a B+. I easily could have given him an A-, but I think there was a couple moments of, you got a little bit of cratering not so often, every once in a while for him in his game. And that prevented me from doing that. I couldn't go the A route for him, but I thought he had a excellent season. Kind of really took that third pairing and just made it his. And what do you have? I have 76 games played he had in the regular season. So
how many points did he have, Chris?
Well, he had 15 points. So he had 5 goals.
Minutes on ice.
Almost 16 minutes a game. That's really good for a third pairing defenseman. Really good. So I and this is like the first year that he's seen like full-time action, and you're getting 15 points out of the guy. I'm happy with that. I love how he moves the puck. I love how he skates. You can tell he's got a rocket of a shot. And this is like just the beginning for him. So next year, you see what, can he improve on those numbers? I totally feel that he can. I have a lot of confidence in what Sam Malinski can bring to this team. And that is why I think they are maybe a little bit comfortable if they do have to move on from someone like Sam Girard.
You know what? I think you don't have the graphic because it's taped over your bed. You stare at it every night.
It's like up on my ceiling.
I get Malinski. And I'm not saying I don't like his play or whatever, but you did not bring him into the system to be third pairing. You did not bring, like, his potential was much higher. Mm-hmm. He showed flashes that are great. We were talking 76 games, 15 points.
Yep.
The year before he had 23 games and 10 points.
Mm-hmm. It's a big difference. Yeah. I mean, you played a lot more games, only 5 points. Yeah. No,
it's true. You had a lot. And when you're going back and watching, this is just points talk. You had almost the exact same minutes during those 23 games the year before. And when it comes to, the points aren't your defenseman, third pairing. I don't care really about points, but are you making a difference when it comes to your defensive skills? And there's been some hits and there's been some misses. And I want to see that next step of improvement, because you didn't bring him in to be sitting down there in the Eric Johnson, Lindgren, bottom tier. You brought him in for these conversations of trading Sam Girard. Can you make a step up? Looking at these numbers, I don't think so. When you're looking at the defensive skills so far, there are flashes, but not consistency. And that's why I gave him a B-. I see the flashes, I see the potential, and it's wonderful, but I don't see the consistency and him matching the potential that he was brought in here for, where we are screaming every year before the season started. I don't understand why Malinski's not part of the starting lineup. I don't see why he's not in here sooner. He's doing this, he's doing that. He was brought in with higher expectations, and what you're getting, I don't want the expectations to clout what you're getting, and it's not that much of an improvement with a lot more sample size.
But this is only last year was his first full season. So, I mean, do you not feel like, guys, sometimes guys take time to, get into the thick of the NHL. Everybody, that's true for Nathan MacKinnon.
But 53 extra games, you only accumulated 5 extra points. And
don't
you
focus
did,
on the points.
But you don't, there's no, it did not cement a role. It's inconsistent. It's inconsistent still. I understand. It's why I didn't give him an A+. He's not far surpassing what he gave you the year before. It's almost running it back. I wanted to see a little bit more step up.
I think we're on polar opposites of this, because I completely did. From that small sample size he gave you 2 years ago, just those 23 games, you saw some flashes of brilliance, and in this year you saw it again. But he played a full season, and just like everybody else did, you had ups and downs for him. But you have to keep in mind, this was his first full season. He went from 23 games to 76. So that in itself is a massive increase in what his expectations are. So, you got to give him time to really develop. He's still developing. And he's a little bit older. He's 26 years old, because he played all 4 years in college. So he's one of those older rookies. But that doesn't take away from the fact that the NHL game is still fast, and doesn't matter what age you come into this league, you need time to develop. And his development from 23 games to year 2 last year, I thought was phenomenal. And you're saying they didn't bring him in here to be a third defenseman. Like I don't know what they brought him in. Like they signed him as a undrafted free agent. So you're not bringing those guys in to be top pairings or even second pairings, but he could be. He, like you're saying, like I want to see the next step. If the Avalanche are thinking like me, I give Sam Malinski that opportunity. I move out Sam Girard, and would I be comfortable bumping Sam Malinski up into a second defensive pairing? I'm going to give him that chance. Could it not work out? Absolutely could not work out. But from what I saw and how he played last year, there's enough improvement where you would think that the improvement for the next year continues because he's still developing, believe it or not. And giving him his second full season with this team in this system that he's now more comfortable in, I'm all in on Malinski for next year. I would absolutely throw him in a second line pairing, and call me crazy if you want to.
Yeah, I wanted to see a little bit more consistency. Like I gave him a B-. I'm not giving him a failing grade or saying he's broken, he's garbage. I'm not saying any of that.
Right.
I would like in 44 games, Calvin DeHaan had 7 points. Like you could get the points, you could contribute, and especially when we touted the fourth line for the forwards being one of the better lines for the Avalanche most of the year, like you should be showing something for that too. Like, and defensively, you're not making that much of a like highlight reel impact or a consistency. Like you see him skating around, you know exactly what you're getting. You'll see him be right on his guy, or you'll see his numbers on the replay when they're getting scored on. So I'd like to see a little bit more.
And that's the question. Do you think you can for next year?
That's what I'm going to be watching for next year, because this is your baseline. This is like, and honestly, if when you got the 23 games and you got 10 points, and Malinski's like, oh, this is what you wanted? Sure, I'll give that to you in more games. Like, you want to see him make a step up. Like, that was good. Your first little bit was great. Last season was okay. You weren't a liability. Now, can you take the step up? If not, we have a new Hook 2.0 situation.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you're talking about an undrafted free agent and a first round pick, but well, I get the sentiment.
Yeah, I'm talking progression wise. Like, you don't want to, especially because, again, anytime we're talking about trading out Manson, Girard, anytime somebody goes down, oh, well, then Malinski could step up. I want some confidence in saying that now, because you're not getting a lot of that in the body of work.
I think you hear me talking about him. I think my answer to that question is yes, an unqualified yes, for him next year to even take another step up and take on more of a role. I think he can do it. So we shall see. All right. So tomorrow we'll be back with a brand new episode. Anything going on in Avalanche Nation? We got some more questions that we want to get to from listeners, so we'll do that tomorrow. So make sure to tune into that one. But thank you so much for tuning into this one and making it your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. We'll see you guys tomorrow, where you would have made it through another 24 hours, where Sidney Crosby's that much closer to being with the Colorado Avalanche.